If you think of Kansas, what comes to mind? Endless wheat fields, Dorothy, Toto, and maybe a really nice sunset, right? But beneath that wholesome Midwestern exterior lies a dark, terrifying underworld of local ordinances and ancient municipal codes. That's right, folks! We are diving deep into the absolute strangest, most baffling, and hilariously specific laws still floating around the books in the state of Kansas. From banning bees in hats to outlawing a very specific dessert-topping combo, you won't believe what is technically illegal in the Sunflower State. Hit that subscribe button, grab a slice of pie without ice cream. Trust me, we'll get to that. And let's break down the weirdest laws in Kansas. We start our journey in the state capital, Topeka. Now, capital cities are supposed to be centers of law, order, and dignity. Topeka took that assignment and ran completely off the rails. First up, it is illegal to scream in a haunted house in Topeka. Think about the absolute logic of this for a second. You go to a haunted house, an establishment literally built to scare the living daylights out of you, and if a guy with a chainsaw jumps out from behind a corner and you let out a high-pitched shriek of pure terror, straight to jail. Well, technically, a fine. This law was likely cooked up to prevent general public disturbances, but its literal application to haunted attractions completely defeats their entire purpose. If you survive the silent haunted house, don't even think about celebrating outside, because law number 2 states, no singing in the streets at night. It doesn't matter if you're tone deaf or hitting Mariah Carey notes. Any public vocal performance after dark is a no-go. So if you're walking home from the bar feeling a little musical, keep those inner monologues internal, or the Topeka police might just critique your pitch. And finally, the crown jewel of Topeka winter restrictions. Snowball fights are illegal. Yes, really. In a state that gets proper Midwestern winters, chucking compacted frozen water at your friends is legally classified on the same level as throwing rocks. So if a blizzard hits Topeka, you're legally required to build a snowman in stoic, silent contemplation, free of joy or projectile weaponry. Moving down the road to Lawrence, home of the University of Kansas, things don't get much more normal. In fact, they get considerably weirder, especially if you involve insects, barnyard animals, or historical artifacts. Let's kick things off with no wearing a bee in your hat. Look, I want to meet the person who inspired this law. Was this an epidemic in 19th century Lawrence? Were milliners across the city just sticking live, stinging hornets into bowler hats as a fashion statement? Apparently, the city fathers had to draw a hard line. Keep the bees out of the headwear. Lawrence also holds on to some serious historical transit laws. All cars entering the city limits must first sound their horn to warn the horses of their arrival. Never mind the fact that horses haven't been the primary mode of transportation in Lawrence for over a century. If you drive into town today, technically you're supposed to give a courtesy honk to any equestrian ghosts that might be lingering around. While we're talking about animals, let's head elsewhere in the state for a quick stop. No duck hunting from mules. I love the specificity here. Hunting ducks from a horse? Fine. Hunting ducks from a jet ski? Weird, but apparently legal. But the moment you mount a mule with a 12 gauge, Kansas law draws the line. And if you thought mules were unsafe hunting platforms, keep in mind, it is no-go on shooting rabbits from motorboats. Kansas is landlocked, people. Where are you even finding a motorboat fast enough to catch a rabbit on the bank? Now let's talk about food and local municipality quirks, because Kansas has some very strong opinions on what you put in your mouth and how you behave in public. Let's start with a crime against dessert. It is illegal to put ice cream on cherry pie in Kansas. A la mode? Not in the Sunflower State. This bizarre law supposedly dates back to a time when some towns considered putting ice cream on pie on a Sunday to be a violation of the Sabbath, or perhaps just a culinary sin of the highest order. Either way, every single diner in Kansas serving warm pie a la mode is operating a criminal enterprise. Speaking of hyper-specific food crimes, in Kansas City, you cannot eat clam chowder on Sunday between 11:50 a.m. and 12 p.m., 10 whole minutes. You have the entire rest of the week, 23 hours and 50 minutes of Sunday, to consume your creamy clam soup. But if you dare take a slurp during that 10-minute window right before noon on the Lord's Day, you are breaking the law. Staying in Kansas City, we have a linguistic trap. Saying the name George Washington without adding the phrase "blessed be his name" can land you a fine of up to 50 cents. Inflation has certainly hit this law hard. 50 cents doesn't buy much these days, but the pure audacity of legislating mandatory religious reverence for the first president of the United States in a Midwestern municipality is top-tier comedy. We are heading into the lightning round of weird Kansas legislation. These are real, documented laws that defy all human logic. Look, if you're hunting bullfrogs, you go to a pond, a swamp, or a lake. If you're hunting them in a tomato patch, you're breaking the law. Leave the amphibians out of the produce aisle. Hand fishing or noodling is popular in some southern states, but in Kansas, absolutely forbidden. If you want to fish, you better use a rod, a reel, or at least some basic dignity. No grabbing catfish by the whiskers. A classic piece of legal protection. No hunting whales in Kansas. Rest easy, Moby Dick. You are completely safe from Kansas hunters, mostly because the closest ocean is an 8-hour drive away. In Kansas City, your plumbing fixtures better not look too wild. Bathtub legs resembling animal paws are apparently a step too far for local aesthetic standards. And finally, in Wichita, adults over the age of 14 are banned from using public playgrounds. So, if you wanted to relive your glory days on the monkey bars, you'll have to wait until you move out of state. The slide is strictly for the kids. From anti-bee millinery to tomato patch frog policing, Kansas definitely knows how to keep its statute books interesting. Which of these laws blew your mind the most? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more weird history and bizarre state laws. Stay safe, keep your ice cream off your pie, and I'll see you in the next video.